Hi, this is Jack with Roche Harbor Resort. We're getting into summer here, and part of being at the resort and enjoying yourself here is drinking a nice cold beverage. And luckily for us on San Juan Island, we have a world-class brewery that makes some amazing beers that we get to share with our guests at the Madrona Bar and Grill, McMillan's Dining Room, as well as the Roche Harbor Market store. We've partnered with the San Juan Brewing Company to bring you a video about a very special beer, the Bavarian-style Hefeweizen beer named the Harbor Hefe, specifically in honor of Roche Harbor and the town that we have. So I'm gonna pass it to Sean and Tim, founders and owners of the San Juan Island Brewing Company, as well as Jesse, the head brewmaster at the brewery, and they're going to show you in depth the process of making this beer. And if you happen to be here on the resort, feel free to come by and grab one if you're of legal drinking age. All right, take it away.
My name's Tim. I'm one of the co-founders of San Juan Island Brewing Company.
My name's Sean, Tim's brother, also one of the co-founders of the brewery.
We're located right in the town of Friday Harbor on San Juan Island, about 3 blocks up from the ferry landing.
We're a full-service brewery restaurant too, so we're a brew pub.
We started in 2017, in July of that summer. We really focus on classic traditional style beers, mostly old world ales and lagers.
You may know us for our Outer Island IPA. It's definitely our most popular beer. Today we want to give you a behind-the-scenes look of how we produce beer here at San Juan Island Brewery. Today, Jesse, our head brewer, is brewing the Harbor Hefeweizen, and we'll send it off to Jesse.
Hi, my name is Jesse Vasiglia. I'm one of the founders and the head brewer at San Juan Island Brewing Company. We opened just over 5 years ago, and we've been making a wide range of ales and lagers since that time. I'd like to talk specifically about the Harbor Hefeweizen. Most people just call it a Hef, since it's a German word that's often intimidating to pronounce. The Hef is a very unique beer. It's a beer that's made primarily with wheat. It's malted wheat, and wheat has more protein than barley does, and so it can make for a more complicated brew day. What you see behind me is the brew house that we have here at San Juan Island Brewing Company. It's a 3-vessel German-style system. In the process of making beer with the brew house that you see behind me, effectively what happens is we take a starch source, which is wheat and barley. We run that through a mill to grind it up to reduce particle size so that the enzymes that are naturally present within those grains can easily access the starch that's available. In the mashing vessel, we combine the crushed wheat and barley, also known as the grist, with water of a very specific temperature so as to achieve a combined temperature of the water and the grist that maximally allows enzyme action. The enzyme action that we're trying to promote in this step is the conversion of starch into sugar, because yeast can metabolize sugar and they cannot metabolize starch. So that's step number 1. It's fairly normal for the Harbor Hefeweizen. The next step involves separating out solids from liquids. So if you imagine we combine crushed grain and water, we've created a porridge of the sorts. We need to separate out our liquid from the solids. The liquid is what we want to keep. The solids are what ultimately end up as compost or animal feed in some other cases. And this is where the Hef gets especially challenging. Wheat, unlike barley, does not have a husk on the outside, and brewers use the husk as a filtration medium to help separate solids from liquids. And so we actually end up adding rice hulls as a substitute for the husk that's lacking on the wheat. After we've sent the liquid, which is called wort, It's very sweet at this point, and in order to provide balance to our beer, we're going to have to add some bittering agents. Well, hops have been kind of top of the charts when it comes to bittering agents for the last few hundred years, and traditionally that's what has been used in hef as the counterpoint to the sweetness of the wort that we've just created. So we'll boil for around 80 minutes. We'll add some hops. In order for the hops to be fully utilized, they have to be boiled. A process called isomerization takes place with the bittering alpha acids of the hops. Isomerization is a big word, maybe a little intimidating. It just means that through the heating process, there's a rearrangement of the elements that exist within the alpha acid compound, and doing so makes them more readily dissolvable in water, so we can actually impart those bitter agents into the beer. After we're done boiling the wort for 80 minutes and adding our hop additions, we're going to send it to the whirlpool. Remember, in an earlier step, we spent a lot of our time and energy separating solids out from liquids, and when we made our hop addition, we added a bunch of hop material, vegetal matter, that we want to separate out. In addition to that, a lot of the protein that's made it over to the boiling kettle is going to break or come out of solution in the boiling process, and that's something we don't want to send to the fermenter where the yeast are patiently waiting. So what we're going to do is utilize our third vessel, which is called the whirlpool, and just like the name suggests, we inject through a tangential port the boiled wort at a fairly high rate, usually around 50 or 60 gallons per minute. And because it comes in at a tangent, it swirls around, creates a vortex in the middle that draws in that vegetal material from the hops and the protein that's called hop break that's broken out of suspension. Once we let that rest, we'll start sending the wort to the fermenter. However, it's still very close to boiling, which would kill the yeasts that are waiting happily for us. So we have to run it through a heat exchanger, which is a series of plates whereby you run cold water one direction and the hot wort the other direction, and in doing so, heat gets transferred from the hot wort to the cold liquor, cooling it down to a temperature that's appropriate for our yeasts. The yeasts are really the star of the show when it comes to the Hefeweizen. It's a very unique yeast strain that works very quickly and produces a number of flavor compounds that aren't typical in terms of comparison to other ale and lager yeasts. Most notably, the banana character that most people associate with hefs. In addition to the banana ester produced by the hef yeast, it also produces a clove-like character, which is the result of a phenol that is produced by this strain. So the Harbor Hefe is a beer that ferments very quickly relative to other beers because of the very active yeast strain that we're using. It will be somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks in the tank. Fermentation will be over in a couple of days, but we give the beer some time to condition for those flavors to kind of blend, round out. It just makes for, overall a more enjoyable beer to give it some time. From there, it all depends. Some of the batches of hef that we make will end up in kegs and be sold here in the brewery, but it's a popular beer as well. Our distributors take a lot of it, so it ends up in various restaurants and other bars. Some of the hef will end up in cans as well. And so the hef that ends up in cans, some of that ends up in the grocery stores and other venues here on island. Thanks for paying attention. I hope you guys learned a thing or two about what we do here at San Juan Island Brewing Company, and specifically the process of making the German-styled Hefeweizen. Feel free to come out here and see us on San Juan Island. If hef isn't your thing, we produce in the course of a year probably close to 30 other styles as well. So Again, thank you for your time, and come out and see us.
You can find our beer, if you are on San Juan Island, at many grocery stores, a few restaurants on the island as well. Out at Roche Harbor Resort, you can find our beer in the grocery store there, and as well as the Madrona Bar and Grill. Thank you guys for taking the time to take a look at how we produce beer here at San Juan Island Brewing Company. I hope you guys enjoyed the process and learned a little bit about how we do it on the island.
We hope that you can come by someday and enjoy a cold beer here at the brewery or anywhere else, like we said, that it's served on San Juan.
Thank you very much.